Peace, family. So I'm back with another one. Today what I wanted to do is I wanted to talk to my chosen ones about how your feelings is part and a huge representation and deciding factor in your spiritual GPS system. The same way we have a GPS system out here in this physical realm that the system mimicked from our spiritual GPS system that we follow, your feelings will guide you, will lead you. Your feelings will warn you which directions to be more cautious of, which avenues not to turn down. Our feelings have a lot to do with our walk of life. For a lot of us who got a chance to operate with the generation before the technology got super crazy, we understood that if I wanted to travel from New York to Virginia, I had to go on MapQuest, or I had to get an actual physical map. I either had to highlight my route all the way from New York to Virginia, or I had to go to MapQuest, get the directions, print them out, or write them down. We had to use a lot more memory. We had to use a lot more of our intuition. We actually had to keep more faith in knowing that we will go the right direction and not stir astray. Our feelings are the exact same way. We have situations out here where they are saying men don't feel, or then they're saying men feel too much, too emotional for a man, which emotions is energy in motion. So a lot of people who say you're emotional, you got to understand, for one, they have a low vocabulary, and for two, they don't have an understanding of energy in motion. If you had an understanding of energy in motion, you wouldn't say somebody's emotional for expressing themselves when you don't call people emotional for being too happy. I've never seen somebody win a game, watch sports, they win championships. I've never heard or seen commentators, fans saying, oh, these guys are way too happy. You know, they're really emotional right now. You allowed to cry when you happy. You can do all of these things in this state. When people say you're being emotional, it's a way to stab and to sting you, because we're all energy and motion. So that's why it always used to go over my head when people say, yo, you too emotional for a man, or you wear your emotions on your sleeve. And I'd be like, I don't give a fuck about any of that. Because at the end of the day, I still know how to stand solid as a man, but I do like to express myself to a certain degree. And I don't just let people walk around and walk away with doing any and everything, you know? For one, I like get back, and two, I'm a justice seeker. That's just me over here. You know, I'm not saying that's for everybody. But my feelings, our feelings, process your feelings as like tree roots under the ground. Everything is connected and it's allowing you to flow and go and do what you do. When we getting up and we starting our days, our emotional state, where we're at on the inside, dictates how our routines is going to go, how efficient we'll be with our routine, the things we'll remove from our routines, you know, the things we're going to add into our routines. Until we start getting to a place of understanding that you need your feelings out here. You just have to master them. You have to master your feelings. I would never tell a man to remove all his feelings, because if somebody do something to your child, your mom, your family or something, you are going to want to do something. I'm not going to say what that something is, but usually people get worked up with the emotions that people don't like to see. I'm one of them people, if you get to see and feel all this love, light, and joy, you going to get to feel the other side as well, too, if it happens to present itself. You know, I'm not somebody that walks around, and I know if you over here, we are not the beings who walk around as a, hey, like we don't ever have bad days, like we are never in, like, lower vibration moods, you know what I mean? Like, for some of us, we just vibrate so high, even our lowest vibrations is still higher than the masses. Some of us vibrate so high naturally that our lowest vibrations is still 50 times higher than the average being vibration. if you haven't realized yet, most of us over here that's connected to Source, we all understand our feelings and the part that it plays in our walk of life, along with our belief system and a lot of other things we can put into that recipe. But your feelings and your belief system are going to be the two hugest deciding factors in your walk of life. You felt connected to that religion, you believed in it, that's your walk of life. I seen people that was ripping and running crazy, they went and picked up the Bible and it was a wrap ever since. They love Jesus, they push him everywhere. And you know, it's mad love and respect to him because it pulled them out of a lower vibration state. You know what I mean? My brother, his wife, and that whole side, they, you know, I don't know how much of Islam they practice, but I know that their family is connected. They was born over there, they came over here. So it was, I've always had two realms right here. So for me, I've always kind of been like that being that's in the middle. I ain't really want to, like, I was raised Christian Baptist with my mom and them, but then me and my brother was like this. So a lot of his knowledge and information I used to intake. For me, before I even got to this space, I was one of the best followers that you could ever imagine. And once I got to this space, I understood that you had to be a great follower in order to become an amazing leader. You have to be a great follower to become an amazing leader. You don't just be born and you become a leader. You know, it's like a small, less than 1% that does come out the way like that, you know. It's kind of like some are born with 6. But understanding, like, a lot of these things that people try to mask and hide. For one, when I was younger, and I teach this to my many as well too, the same way we're inside of here and we run into people and we're processing and engaging how we are feeling while we're engaging with them, and then they do something that we naturally, or our first initial response wouldn't be to do what they do. You know what I mean? So, like, just a little, you know, playful example, like, my mini is a female version of me, big heart, you know, loving, caring. She like to play and joke, do all of that stuff too, right? But she had mentioned recently that one of her associates, I call them associates, they're not really friends at the school, had a couple of them was joking her because she had came to school with like a little pimple on her or something. I'm like, these pimples come and go, you know. She said it kind of hurt her feelings a little bit, you know, but she didn't really care because she just didn't really care that much. And I was just explaining to her, you know, the difference in the thought processes and how it works, and that you gotta understand that the same way you processed that whole situation and you knew that that was something that you wouldn't do to somebody you said was a friend or associate, you gotta understand they're using a whole nother playbook, which is why they're coming at you this way and trying to antagonize you. See, my mini is a female version of me. She's always giving, loving, spreading as much as she can, you know, like, she could be stronger than half her friends, but like, if she's using something and they come over and they keep asking for it, she won't snatch her items back. She'll just allow them to take them and then just, you know, deal with her emotions from there. But I've been getting her to a space of just reminding her, don't let people take shit from you. You know what I mean? It's all a process we gotta learn, and daddy can't just come over just like bullying little people. Like, I could do that, but I wouldn't do that. And these are the times where she has to learn and understand her feelings. And she has been helping me learn so much because I'm so dedicated to the next generation, and the one that I have the most impact on is mine. You know what I mean? So for me, I could never get to a space of like disconnecting or not understanding my feelings on all levels. And I will always look at it as it's weird when people say, oh, you too emotional because you giving me feelings that I didn't want to receive, or you're giving me a reaction that I didn't want or didn't like. When you start hearing people telling you you're being too emotional because you're too happy, you're too joyful, you're too peaceful, then you can take a different perspective on it. But until then, when they are using this terminology, it's all manipulation. All of it. It's an easy way. It's like the phone, what is it, monkey phone? The phone monkey? One of those little games where it's like a bunch of people lined up, you whisper in one person's ear, by the time you get to the last person, it's not what the first person had said. All of these little witchcraft manipulation tactics they're using, and they're working from so many different angles to make sure that if they cannot disconnect us, we're going to disconnect ourselves. And right now they got us in a point of trying to disconnect ourselves, because a lot of people are finding themselves in positions where you're getting hurt, you're getting overly used, you're getting overly abused. You know, it's just a compilation of things that just continuously happens. When you start losing and not understanding and mastering your feelings, that's when they got you. When you start turning more cold, that's when they got you. When you stop being as loving, that's when they got you. When you stop being as peaceful as you are, that's when they got you. We are going to get riled up. It's a bunch of witches and demons out here. So if you think you're just going to walk through life and not get riled up, nobody's going to rile you, nobody's going to step on your toe or push you in the back of the head or cut you in line, and you living in a whole nother realm of reality. You not out here in this physical world where we at right now. This sun is really beaming too. That's why I got to keep this down. I do not want to be sitting here doing this the whole time. It is busting. Usually I have to face the sun this way, and I have to go the other way. That's why I usually do a lot of squinting. I wouldn't be visible if I was facing the sun. The way my light beam and the way that sun beam, I would just vominos. I would be not visible at all. So just keeping it light, you know what I mean? But understanding, my feelings have kept me out of so many situations where I could have took the wrong turn. I could have went to the wrong bar. I could have went to the wrong club. I could have left out at the house at the wrong time. You know, my feelings put me in positions where I made it home on time. You know what I mean? Where I made it out of accidents. You know, just because like I felt something was about to be a little off, and I prevented it from being way worse than what it could have been. My feelings, along with my faith in the Creator, have saved my life over and over and over and over again. If I'm going to accept the fact that I can be joyful, if I'm going to accept the fact that I can be happy, if I can accept the fact that I'm a giver, if I can accept the fact that I'm loving, this wind going crazy. If I'm going to accept these facts, then I have to understand that I'm going to experience the other energies and emotion as well too. That's mandatory. Sometimes when I'm happy, I don't always want to express it the exact same way. Sometimes I just want to soak and bathe in the inside. Sometimes when I get sad, I get a little frustrated. Sometimes I have to do different things out here in the physical realm, so that way that doesn't have too much weight on me in the spiritual realm. My feelings allowed me to address beings. It allowed me to avoid beings. I could think of a numerous large amount of things that my feelings help me with. And I'm a whole man that ain't never been on none of that weird shit. So for me to be sitting over here and expressing my feelings or you know, my ideology behind how my feelings help me navigate out here. Anytime any of us been in situations with friends, spouses, families, when people talk about red flags, these are your feelings which are setting off the alarm to these red flags. These are your feelings that's setting off these alarms to these green flags. The more you can simplify things, the easier it becomes with mastering yourself within this realm in the middle of this weird spiritual battle we in, with all this inflation and expenses going through the roof right now. For all my men out there who ever been in a position of being called an emotional man, you too emotional, The example you would have to use as too emotional would be if a guy or a male just sat around, watched the movie, and then just started crying because the movie simulated those emotions and it worked. You allowed the movie to manipulate your feelings and to get you in a crying state. That would be a little different. I would consider that as being, a little weak. On the percentage scale, not saying like the weakest thing in the world, because everything is 0 to 100. You know what I mean? Because we done had movies that make us happy, so happy that you start crying a little bit. You had some movies that had you so scared and fearful that you getting ready to cover your eyes for a split second. You know what I mean? But it's numerous. You can put certain examples in place where you are over exuding one of those sad, I don't feel too good energies in motion. It's a lot of different names to name for it, but I don't really like to call them high vibe feelings and low vibe feelings, because it's kind of like we have to experience all of them. So sometimes just simplifying it, I'll do, peaceful is high and, sadness is low. But you can win a championship, be super ecstatic and happy, but still be a little bit sad if like a family member or a girlfriend or a boyfriend or somebody didn't make it to the event to catch it. You know what I mean? But the way I always process these feelings and why I never push them to the side and why I've always been able to just stand solid in them is because I understand this physical realm. And I never had a problem getting physical. See, when you've been fighting your whole life, you know how to take a punch. I know how to give plenty. But I say know how to take a punch because most people are so concerned with how to throw the punch as opposed from being able to take a blow. Because as soon as you take a blow, that will change the whole outcome of the fight if you do not know how to take a blow. Now, you can take that physical representation and put it in a spiritual representation. If somebody's coming at you casting witchy spells and the first one they do on you hits you and it forces you to self-sabotage, and then it takes you so long to get out of there that, you just got behind on everything you was focused on and trying to do, then that means you don't know how to take a hit. And you have to build up your endurance a little bit more. I know that's a little sidetrack from the feelings. But if you utilize, when I process fighting, physically and spiritually, because I fought so much physically that these spiritual battles have become like walking on coal. You know how people get to a place to where they can just walk on coal in front of everybody? They just like, yeah, watch this. I got the toughest feet in the world. That's kind of where I'm at right now, And then my ideology when it comes to that is, I always wish a motherfucker would try me. Like, I'm a peaceful being, but I always wish a motherfucker would. So that's why when I engage with men and we start having these little debates or arguments or something, and it starts doing this back and forth thing, and they be like, oh man, you emotional. That doesn't make me feel any lesser about myself, because I understand I am energy in motion. Right now, these is the vibes you getting because these the vibes I feel like giving you. I'm highly intelligent when it comes to these things. If I'm giving you that energy, it's because I want to. It's not because, oh, you just pulled it out of me. No. If I'm like vibing in my community and I'm growing from a boy to a man, but really I'm just a male, I have to learn certain things and I have to do certain things. The more I'm able to walk in those shoes or able to do those things, the better I become down the line. So it's kind of like once you learn how to ride a bike once, you never forget how to ride a bike. You just got to get back up there and keep riding. I've seen people take 10, 15, 20 years from bike riding. They get a bike in front of them, and it's just like, oh, yeah, I got this still. Doing wheelies, doing ollies, doing jumps, doing all kind of things, just like they never lost a step. A lot of these things is ingrained in the spirit, and your body has already become programmed to it. It's kind of like eating. You don't have to do a whole lot of hard thinking and processing when it's time to eat, And I would just keep all of these things in mind, because the way this shit's set up right now is they're doing so much to disconnect that I take that back. The system has put in so much work disconnecting us that all their little minions, the minions. So when I say system, I'm talking about all these big corporate places, pharmacies, hospitals. They did, you know, the people behind the scenes who they want to call Illuminati, Rockefellers, and all these other weird people. You know, I don't give a damn. In my mind, this vibration has already been out here. This is why a lot of those demonic entities worship Egypt. When I think about Egypt, I think these niggas was crazy. You trying to bury yourself with gold and take all your quote-unquote riches with you when the Creator already said we can't take none of it with us. We cannot take any of it with us. But these demonic deities over here was doing it. And then they got everybody worshiping this demonic side. Oh, look at the Egyptians. Fuck the Egyptians. That's how I feel. Fuck them pyramids. That's how I feel. If that was such an important big thing and helpful in our life, then we would have to understand how big Nelson Mandela would be. Nelson Mandela was way bigger than Egypt because he was working on some shit now in today's day and age that was going against the system. That's why they came up with this Nelson Mandela effect, because they killed his ass in the jail, but then they said he came home and then he died. They're changing the narratives, rerouting people's feelings, which is rerouting your belief system and your thoughts and your ideology. Anything that comes from the system, you always gonna have to second guess. You got to be very careful of all the minions. When we are speaking of they, because you see I have to put those in my titles for the algorithms. They is the ops. Everybody that's working with the demonic playbook. I don't give a damn if you Bill Gates or if you that homeless person next door that just constantly doing a bunch of witchy shit to all the neighbors and things that's around you, constantly making people feel unsafe around you. I don't give a damn which level you at. I'm gonna put your ass in the they category. They. We over here with the Creator, with the birds and the bees. You know what I mean? Not over here with the rats, the weird snakes, and the leeches. Because even the things that I just named could be helpful to us. You know, you could extract things from you with a leech. Just you don't want them to take too much. We got special snakes out here that are extremely powerful in spiritual protection. But then you got the other ones who are extremely demonic and they will take you apart first chance they get. But just be mindful. In the females, in today's day and age, it's like a juggling act for y'all. It's like a juggling act, you know, because a lot of it has to do with one, going from middle school to high school dating and just already being involved with boys with no damn direction. Then that transpires into real life. So now all the people in real life got to pay for what everybody did in middle school and high school. If it wasn't somebody doing some weird stuff in middle school, high school, what happens with females, they're quicker to shut it down because they aren't as physically strong. So naturally, they just already know, all right, well, shit, I got to figure out how to shut this shit off. I like him, but I don't want to show him that I care about him because I don't know what time he's on. All of these things could be eliminated if you just... What's your belief system? You follow the Creator? You could eliminate all of that weird witchy stuff in the beginning by just asking 2 to 3 simple questions. You got people out here that will lie and say, yeah, I follow the Creator, or yeah, I follow Islam, or yeah, I follow Christianity, I'm a Buddhism, I'm a Judaism. You know, you'll have beings who will say this thing, and I'm not saying like it's not people in parts of all of these spaces that don't do some manipulation. But it eliminates a lot of beings because when you throw it out there, for one, it's going to catch the man off guard. It's going to catch him off guard already. So, and if you don't have people helping you, other males that don't want you sexually like brothers, cousins, uncles, all of these beings around you who aren't sexually invested in you, these are the ones that should be helping you when it comes to those spaces. Because if men are naturally protectors and providers, then you should be protected. I know all the women around me are going to feel protected at all times. And if they not, it's because they want to scurry off and do their own thing, you know. I understand the feelings on a whole nother level and playing field. So you'll never be able to demasculate me because I'm in an emotional state, you know. I had one hard situation happen when I was in New York, and I had moved my pregnant BM out there just to restart life around and do things there. You know how it is when people just want to move and start over. And we had been up there for about a month or two, and I just remember, like, shit, it was a lot of pressure on me. Shit was just weighing. It was getting heavy, hard. And I had took her on a walk, and we just went by the park and chilled. And I just, you know, I had one of those times when I needed a release, you know. And I felt like I could trust the environment and the situation at the time. Meaning it was just me and her out there at the park and my mini in the belly, whatever. But I felt like I could trust the environment, meaning me or the location, the space, to kind of just be able to release, you know. I had a moment of release and she made me pay for it, you know. It didn't make me feel less of a man. When I say release, just meaning like I had a moment where life just got so heavy, the new one on the way, we out of state, you know, trying to get these funds together, trying to get to live. It was a lot of shit going on. I was taking on a lot. And I just had one of those breakdowns. And when I have a breakdown, it's like once every 10 years, maybe once every 7-8 years. It happens occasionally. Your body needs a release. You know, you fight it as long as you can. But I had one of those releases, and the next day she left on me. I could have put myself in a space to feel bad, like, oh man, because you cried in front of me, that means she left because you had a breakdown moment. It wasn't like a boohoo crying over, like, you know, something weird. It was just like life was just hammering me. It was so much weight that it just started releasing. I was like frustrated, angry. It was just like a lot of energy and emotion that was going through me at the time. And after that situation, you know, I was good. I was good on the breakdowns. But I say that to say that the females in today's day and age has such a disconnect that her processing, either thinking she's seeing me in a weak state or whatever they may call it, put her in a position to want to leave. She left the next day. Now, if I wasn't a solid being, if I wasn't strong as I was, then it probably would have fucked me up mentally. It probably would have broke me down. You know what I mean? On top of me already having like a release moment at that time. But it did not. It just showed me how disgusting and demonic she was, because women are supposed to be nurturing. We don't have very many nurturers out here left. You know, we don't have very many caregivers out here left. We all supposed to know how to soothe ourselves. You know, if I'm feeling too happy, my feelings got me too happy around certain people, I know how to not express it as much. If I'm feeling sad around sad people, I know to minimize my own sadness, because I know this is the space they like to live in. So like I was saying before, even our lowest vibration is still higher than a lot of people's highest vibrations. You know, their rooftop is meeting our bottom. We're still up here, you know? And it's just a crazy process to have to fathom and to go through. And when you are actually dealing with it, and it's going back through like, oh, they pissed me off, I need to not care. Just tell yourself you gotta master your energy and emotion. It's always gonna be there. It's always gonna be there. You know, I would never tell somebody be all sad and miserable and, you know, ungrateful, but you hide your joy and your peace and your happiness, you know. But this is what they do on the flip side of it. They want you to express these, but don't show this. No. You should not feel uncomfortable. You shouldn't feel belittled for expressing these. And if you do, that just shows what kind of society we're in, and it shows the beings that you have around, and it also shows what playbook they're using. Once you can start taking these little pieces and putting them into place, especially for the men, because right now society is like, it's whooping our ass right now. Like, man, you ain't shit until you start gaining value and substance. Like, that's just how it is. You out here just for the streets. You know what I mean? The value for both genders start at different times in our life, you know. And it's not to take away from the value of the man. It's just in today's society, you can't just know all this knowledge and be able to go out, find a piece of land and build your house. No, you can know those things, but now it's like, damn, okay, well now I gotta go slave over here, or I gotta make some more ends meet so that way I can buy this piece of grass so I can build the house that I know how to build on. You have to fight as hard as you can as a man out here. You have to stay driven. If you ain't got a purpose, you find a good team to vibe with, you know. If not, then figure out a way that you can put your resources, if you're a male with resources that just don't know what you're doing, find somebody to invest their resources and figure out how to build something bigger. You know, for the men that don't have any purpose out here and don't have the ends meet, you have to start taking more steps. You have to start taking more steps. Men, we have always been sacrificial. Always. So you already got society beating you down. We have our households beating us down. And do not be in the process of doing these things and trying to involve yourself with females. Because females will either support you and you will excel through the roof, or they will be the root cause of your demise. You know? And the way, unfortunately, the way society is set up right now, not the tribe, but the ones outside of the tribe, man, you don't even want to open doors for that shit. You don't even want to open doors for it. It's so bad to the point to now where, like, even if I feel like somebody's attractive or I like them, I knew to be easy and to be careful, because these women are, the females is so weird now. Like, in the back of my mind, it's always like, all right, I done been dealing with women my entire life, females my entire life. Never had a problem with them when I was broke, when I was young. Never had a problem when I got a little bit more stable. I wasn't one of those beings who had like all these tremendous issues over there. Not until now. Because now I realize that, okay, I see what's happening. I see what's happening. And it's hard being in the midst of it, right? Because I see the younger generation, and my mom is an older generation. My mom isn't nurturing, but my mom will give me some finances if I needed them, or if I was in a bind, she would help me out. You know what I mean? But as far as like just being nurturing, being, you know, empathetic to the beings around you, that's just not something that they are doing out here in today's society, you know, unless you are with the tribe. The tribes are very selective. It's not just here. There's other beings out here that have little tribes and communities where you can find a lot more healthier females, women, and you can find a lot more healthier men, you know? And these are always the things that keep the hope, the faith alive within me, you know what I mean? But I have been running it out. You gotta stay tapped into your feelings, man. Just learn to master them. People gonna try to belittle you for having feelings. People gonna try to antagonize you. People gonna try to get at you for showing and expressing the feelings that they don't want to see. You know what I mean? Everybody allowed to be happy, but nobody's allowed to be mad. Nobody's allowed to be angry. You know, even being sad has come to a point to where it's used as manipulation now. People just pretend to be sad just so they can extract your energy from you. And it's like, damn, you never was really in that space. Because if you was, I would have pulled you out that space and I would have been feeling good for helping you. But instead, I tried to get you from that space, and now I end up feeling worse for even trying. Like, you transferred that damn energy to me, and now I got to transmute that energy off of me. You know what I mean? But tapping everything down below, you know what I'm saying? Anybody want to reach out, chop it up, communicate. IG, Instagram, it's always blinking up there at the top. You know what I mean? I got things down in the description down below. And appreciate the love and support to the tribe members that did purchase my brother's book. You know what I mean? Different mother, different father. That's my brother, though. You know, he was doing a 22-year sentence. He had 3 years in when we met, and he should be winding down on his bid soon. But you know, that was a huge turning point for him to be able to express his feelings within a book. That's not the type of time he was on. So when I seen him taking them steps to do that, and he actually had the book done, it was already out on Amazon, I'm like, bet, bro, send me the link. Tell your girl to send me the link so that way I can go purchase my book. And what I'll do is I'll promote it on my channel, you know? So anybody purchasing the book by JAAMI Taylor, that's my bro, you know what I mean? He is pretty solid being. He been putting in a lot of work transitioning, you know, his whole inner space and things while he is behind bars. But yeah, I don't give a damn where your location is. If I got love for you, I got love for you, and I'm going to support by any means necessary, you know what I mean? But tapping everything down below. Peace and love to the kings and queens.